Sorry, we got disconnected there. So yeah, so this is like a example, but to coming to this place. So now, one thing I'm kind of struggling is there's just a huge amount of information in my life. Like there's just like thousands of bookmarks, blogs, YouTube videos to read less. Just it's just like I'm just being swamped. So I need to make sense of it. So I might have an ontology which is like, okay, hey, what are all the knowledge sources? There is YouTube, there is Twitter, and then there are blogs, and then now can I have a way to ingest them and make sense of it? And then now let's say I write some journal article. I mean, I just write notes or something like this. I can take a picture, but then now it connects to like a lot of entities. Maybe I reference a YouTube video, maybe I reference a blog article, and they're all connected. So it's just like a, it's just so you have your reality, and then you make sense of the reality through maps, and ontology is the map. So once you have created an ontology, you can have data ingestion layers, and then you can have attributes to these ontologies, into these entities, and you can create relationships in a way. So this is like the fundamental layer for making sense of the real world through the software, which I call SenseMaker, or I mean I haven't decided it, but it's either SenseMaker or Parway. So Parway is vision, so it's like it helps you see through all the clutter and make sense of your world and take better decisions. And yeah, it also helps that it ends with AI. So yeah, and so this is the way to make sense, to get the data, create an ontology, and once you get the data in, now you can run LLMs on top. There are things called RAG. There's something called graph RAG where you embed all the nodes, you take the most related node, create a subgraph, add that to the context, and generate the results. And you can have agents, you can have MCP servers. It's the this is like the foundation on which like your LLMs can make sense of the world in a similar way as you do. So again, even for this ontology, maybe we can use LLMs to help you with creating this ontology, because um, yeah, this is itself is a huge exercise which you need to be careful, and you might need some help, so you can help, you can get help from the AI. So yeah, this is my whole vision for SenseMaker and the Power platform, where there'll be a core engine which is gonna power all this, but then it's not scalable. So that's why it needs to be open source and follow DAC, differential, decentralized, democratic, defensive acceleration principles. So there'll be like a governance structure, there'll be plugins, there'll be we'll differentially accelerate certain use cases over probably bad ones. So that's the whole platform, which will power these kind of personal use cases. Then comes small and medium businesses. Imagine you're just a mom and pop shop, but you don't get a chance to pay or use all these very powerful AI tools, or maybe you have them but it's just scattered and it doesn't make sense. And I think this is like a very good path for you to integrate your existing systems, and also maybe build other workflows around it. And the other thing I have is like workflows, and workflows are always the center stage for most things in life rather than specific tools and UIs. I mean, I get it as a product, it makes more sense, but that's the thing, it kind of devolves into a very lowest common denominator thing where, okay, how, what is like the least usable, or not, what is like the easiest way I can give some my thing, right? So it's optimized for like the masses. But I think here it makes sense to have certain design principles so that people can customize this for their own use case, because this is thinking like we all will be cyborgs, and it's either you adapt to it or you'll get outcompeted. So people have to make the switch, and we are trying to make it as easy as possible for people to get into this new world. So that's the small and medium business use case, personal, and then you have these NGOs and actors groups. So I know a couple of NGOs. which have this kind of model. Like they most NGOs do some operation in the real world, right? Like they're distributing some stuff, or they're promoting certain things, or they're doing things like, for instance, there's this thing called Fortify Health, where they fortify the floor which people use. So that's the thing, right? Like you have a bunch of operations happening, and you need to make sense of it, make better decisions, and then those affect your operations, and this loop has to keep on going on. And anything that can make either this efficient or this efficient is gonna help people. So that's the NGO angle, and then yeah, so this is what will be powered, and these are verticals, like things can maybe there's like a standard plugin, but people can build on top of it. So this is the more bottom-up approach where we empower individuals and masses. And then comes the whole application called Dialectic. So Dialectic comes from this, I think it was Hegel. So basically you have, um, so it's like, okay, how do we make sense of some argument, right? Like you have a conversation with your competing person. So you have a thesis, you have an antithesis, and based on this dialogue, you can synthesis. So that's the whole dialectic origin of the word. But in this case, it's a platform that I want to build on top of the SenseMaker and open application ecosystem for especially helping AI governance and oversight. So basically, there are like a lot of organizations who are currently working on uh, building better governance tools. So there's this entire field called technical AI governance, and there are so many open problems you can just check about it, and and then there are like a lot of groups. Like for instance, there is Mary's technical governance team, and then there is Forethought, and then there's GovAI, and then there's Center for AI Safety, and then there are ICs. There's just so many orgs. There's India, IC, UK, US. So there are like this is a lot of appetite for governance, and the whole notion is it's not about oh the AI will just do some bad shit or people do stuff. I think it's all about incentives. If we all can just somehow agree on coming up with the right incentive structures, then I think we can reap the benefits and without getting derailed. So yeah, I mean, I can go more depth about what this will be like. It's more like okay, so right now, how do policymakers work? There's like they need to understand a bunch of data. They need to understand how these models work. What are the evaluations? What are the risks? What are the mitigations? And it's like a very research intensive task. So maybe we can build a interface where it helps them. It's like think of it as like a laboratory for policy making. So obviously policy making doesn't exist in isolation. You need all the data and all the prior research coming in, and AI is getting extremely powerful at doing that. Like there's this deep research, there is this org called Elicit, which works on factored cognition. So how do we make sense of all the scientific literature? And the same way we can bring all the tooling for governance and policy making. And that is the ingestion part, but then there's the entire layer of collaboration. So the whole notion is okay, we all just need to get in a room and make sense of it. Um, People with competing interests, people with different point of views, everyone, we need better collaboration. So there's a platform where the sort of collaboration can happen. And as AI gets more powerful, um, we can we can also use AI as a collaborator where it's gonna red team your policies. It can simulate the interests of different competing groups, and you can have debates among multiple LLMs and make sense of it. So that's another totally different angle to look at it. So whatever powers this will can also be a basis for this dialectic platform, but then it might have like a lot of specific use cases for specifically AI policymakers and governance people. So there is a systems like a feedback loop mechanism that happens. So let's say AI capabilities increase, so that's gonna increase the gradual disimprovement risk and lead to all this elite decoupling and erosion of agency. And but if it increases, then it'll increase the capability of all also the OER platform. I mean, okay, it's open application ecosystem platform, which is SenseMaker, um, and it's gonna empower the people from the bottom, and also it will improve the capabilities of dialectic, which will in turn improve the way we govern. At least that's my case. I mean, that we can go into the risks or maybe the impactfulness of something like this, but this is like the best case scenario. If AI increases, it will increase this, but also increase the bottom up and also the top down control, and which in turn, if things go well, will decrease the gradual disimprovement risk because people will be more empowered as AI gets better, and the governance people will be more powerful. Imagine they get 10x effective. Like right now, let's say it takes a month to put a right policy because there's just so much work needed to add cap and make sense of it. Imagine you can just first of all, there are two issues. One is there's a lag in when some event happens. Let's say your meter evalves or Palisade or any evaluation group or even the labs, they release something for that to percolate or even a whistleblower at some point. Um, for all the data to actually reach the policymakers, that's just like a huge gap. But imagine we can have a curated data ingestion source which will quickly pick up the data as soon as it happened and make sense of it. And also, once that ingests, it can also be live. Like your policies can be live. Let's say this happens, and then it triggers some existing policies which are keeping track of everything. And now that can easily alert the people in power to know, okay, where are we at, or the capabilities, and is it affecting any policies? And in turn, you can collaborate, make sense of it, and come up with better policies to govern. So that's the top-down control. So bottom up and top down, which will both get better and which will constrain and lead us to a better world. So yeah, I mean, this is my whole view. Obviously, there's like I can come up with like so many ways things can go wrong, but this is like the best case scenario if things go well. Yeah. Thanks for listening.